What's up? I just picked up the oil pan. I'm gonna get it cleaned up, and I found a guy who will do it cheaper and a lot faster. So hopefully I'm gonna get it done tonight before work, and then I can start prepping to put the engine in. Here it is so far. I just took a regular brush and some engine degreaser and brushed it down and then wiped it down. I think it looks pretty good. I'll be able to see if there's any leaks right away. This is where I'm gonna get it welded. So I'm gonna cut part of this tab off, or at least grind it down, and then the bung will sit right about there. There is like a baffling behind it, but there's enough room that you can set it right about here. So I'm not too worried about that. I still have to clean this area a little more, but that's where it's gonna get welded. So I grinded down that piece that I needed to, and it fits pretty well, so it's gonna go right there. So I highly recommend you get one of these. It's really easy to use. So what I did is I put the fitting right here. I marked pretty much in the middle. I might want to go a little lower while I'm actually drilling it, but you just push it down and it'll mark it. It also creates enough of a dent that when you start drilling it, it's a lot easier to keep it exactly where you want it to be. So I used a smaller drill bit to get kind of a starter hole. Then I'll be using a step drill bit to get it exactly where I want it. Basically, I'll go a step, test fit it, go another step, test fit it till it's exactly where I want it, and then I'm gonna go get it welded. Pretty much flush. I went like a tiny bit too big, but it's fine because it is gonna get welded, so actually that extra space is perfect. I'm gonna go actually get it welded, but this is how it is gonna look, and I'll get it welded like that.
I want to ride it.
So I got the piece welded. It turned out okay. The aluminum, the way they make it, it's like a cast aluminum. It's really shitty and hard to weld. I was a bit too close here, so he said if I have any issues with any leaks, he'll fix it, which is really cool. So the line fits good. I'm not worried about that. So I'm gonna go get the oil pan gasket, and then we're gonna put it on. Victor Reigns, I didn't really care too much. I just wanted some kind of gasket that wasn't old. So I got the oil pan fully installed. I got all the bolts on and the new gasket on, and I also installed the power steering pump and put the belt back on. Guys, what's going on? Yeah, it's April 27th and it's snowing. I got the rest of the nuts for the exhaust manifold bolts. I got the exhaust manifold gaskets, and one of the turbo gaskets came in. Another thing is when I test fitted the line, the turbo actually has to be clocked because the way the turbo manifold sits, it sits more like this, which puts the feed line a little to the left, and it puts the drain line a little to the right, going this way. So it doesn't exactly fit, because when you're trying to mount it, you kind of have to put the line over here. So I have to clock it so that it faces this way, so it actually drains down correctly, and that the feed goes in as well. So to clock a turbo, all you have to do is loosen these bolts here. You don't have to take them out entirely, just loosen them on each side, just with the wrench. These are 1/2-inch bolts, or I think 13 millimeter. So now you can kind of freely turn both the intake and exhaust housing, and the middle will also spin. So I'm gonna keep the exhaust and the intake housing the same, pretty much where they were, but I'm gonna spin the middle so that the oil drain is facing the bottom. The way it was clocked as if it was kind of just sitting even, but the turbo manifold sits at kind of an angle, so I have to adjust for that. Once you get it how you want it, tighten one bolt on each side, that way it can't move anymore, and then take it off and you can tighten the rest. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the rest up. I got the turbo all tightened up. Actually, I messaged Max Speeding Rods, and I got a partial refund because the piece they sent me didn't fit, and I went ahead and ordered the right piece. I still have the old piece, which kind of just had a fitting for like an oil rubber line, which is good because I'm gonna put that back on when I put the turbo and the manifold and the engine in, because I still have to wait for the piece for the AN line. And I'm gonna take a rubber hose into like a bucket, start the car, and then see if it's actually draining and cycling properly. I ran into an issue, which I noticed. The turbo manifold wasn't sitting 100% flush. and it took me a second to realize what it was, but on the M54, you can see there's this little ledge, and that was preventing it because I guess the turbo manifold is a little too tall. So I'm gonna grind it down using a burr bit, which is ideal for aluminum. But I want to put this video up, so I'm not going to do it in this video. I'll be doing it in the next video. But that's pretty much all I have to do before the engine is ready to go in. Finally, it's been a long process. I also started on getting some of the wiring harness put together before it goes in. Hopefully tomorrow all the parts will be in and I can start getting moving a lot faster on some of this stuff. If you're doing this as a DIY at home, I don't recommend thinking it'll take a couple days, 2-3 days, and then it taking a lot longer, and it's your daily driver and you're kind of stuck. So do a lot of research. Definitely watch the rest of these videos because they should be helpful with a lot of things that you don't normally see in these kind of guides or how-tos, such as that ledge, because if the engine was in the car and I couldn't get the turbo manifold to sit flush, I'd be struggling wondering why, and it's kind of difficult to get a good view under there. So it's unfortunate. It's kind of rare. I have the CX Racing top mount turbo manifold. Everybody I was talking to with it said they didn't have any issues like that. It's mostly bottom mount turbo manifolds that have the issue with hitting the ledge. I don't know if it's an M54 exclusive thing or if the M50 and M52 have that ledge. I haven't looked specifically. I didn't even know the M54 had it until the turbo manifold wasn't sitting flush. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.